The gala hall sparkled with chandeliers and clinking glasses, the kind of place where power dressed itself in black tuxedos and diamond necklaces. Among the sea of glittering faces, one man stood out, not just because of his perfectly tailored suit, but because the room seemed to tilt around him. Adrian Cole, the billionaire CEO who had built an empire from steel and cold ambition, commanded attention without saying a word. But then his gaze stopped. Frows. Across the room, a woman stood in an elegant navy gown. She wasn't adorned with jewels or surrounded by eager admirers, yet her quiet grace drew him like a magnet. He knew the face. 18 years had not erased it. Clara. His breath caught. Memories flooded back to college days, laughter under cheap diner lights, promises made in whispers. And then the memory that haunted him most, the night he had chosen ambition over love, leaving her with only silence in return. But it wasn't just Clara. Beside her stood a young woman, tall, confident, with the same eyes Adrian saw in the mirror every morning. His daughter. Adrian's world tilted. For 18 years, he had told himself he'd made the right choice, that love was a distraction, family an anchor he couldn't afford. Yet standing here now, looking at the two people he had abandoned, the weight of regret pressed harder than any business deal ever had. He wanted to go to them, to speak, but fear rooted him in place. What if they hated him? What if he had no right? The moment might have slipped away if not for the twist of fate that followed. The gala's guest of honor, a philanthropist awarding scholarships to underprivileged youth, called for one of the recipients to share her story. And it was Hira, his daughter, who walked to the stage. She introduced herself as Emily. Her voice was steady but filled with emotion as she spoke about being raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs to keep her dream alive. About nights when her mother skipped dinner so she could eat. About how kindness from strangers, a teacher, a neighbor, a mentor, helped shape her path. Adrian's chest burned as every word carved deeper into his conscience. He realized Clara had given their daughter everything he had denied her: love, sacrifice, and dignity. Then Emily paused, her eyes sweeping the room. "There's someone I don't know," she said softly, "but I thought about him all my life. My father. Whoever you are, a broken bar. I don't need riches from you. I just hope you're proud of me." The silence that followed was crushing. Adrian's heart shattered. In that moment, the man who had conquered industries felt smaller than ever before. He stood. He didn't plan it, his legs just moved. Gasps echoed as the billionaire CEO walked toward the stage, his face pale but determined. Clara's eyes widened, and Emily's lips parted in confusion. When he reached them, his voice trembled. "I am proud of you, more than words can say." "And Clara, broken bar, I owe you everything." Tears glistened in Emily's eyes as Adrian embraced her, the years of absence collapsing into a single moment of connection. Clara watched, her expression a storm of pain and relief. She had every reason to push him away, yet something in his voice, raw, unpolished, stripped of ego, made her pause. The room, once buzzing with wealth and vanity, now pulsed with something deeper, humanity. Strangers dabbed their eyes. The story unfolding before them was not about money or status, but about love rediscovered, forgiveness sought, and wounds beginning to heal. The night ended not with champagne toasts, but with a simple act: Adrian asking Clara and Emily if they'd join him for dinner the next day, not as a CEO, but as a man desperate to make up for lost time. Clara hesitated, then gave the faintest nod. Emily smiled through tears. And for the first time in years, Adrian Cole felt truly rich, because wealth isn't counted in dollars or empires. It's measured in the people who forgive us, love us, and give us a second chance. Adrian barely slept that night. The applause from the gala had faded, but Emily's words kept echoing in his mind. "I just hope you're proud of me." He had missed her first steps, her first day of school, her laughter and her tears. He had missed everything, yet she still hoped for his pride. The next day, he arrived early at the little family-owned Italian restaurant Clara had chosen. It wasn't the kind of place CEOs frequented. There were no velvet ropes or Michelin stars, just the smell of garlic bread and the sound of families laughing at mismatched tables. And that's why Clara picked it. If Adrian truly wanted to be part of their lives, he had to meet them on their ground, not in the shadow of his empire. When Clara and Emily walked in, he stood, nervous for the first time in years. His usual boardroom confidence had deserted him. Emily gave him a hesitant smile, but Clara's eyes stayed guarded. Dinner began awkwardly. Adrian tried to ask Emily about school, her interests, her plans for the future. Slowly, she opened up, her passion for environmental science lighting her words. Adrian listened, truly listened, as if every syllable was a gift he didn't deserve. But the real test came when Clara finally spoke. "You walked away, Adrian. I begged you to stay. And you chose ambition over family. Do you have any idea what it was like raising her alone?" Her voice cracked, anger and exhaustion, years in the making spilling out. The restaurant grew quieter, diners turning subtly to watch. Adrian didn't defend himself. For the first time, he didn't try to control the narrative. He simply nodded, his throat tight. "You're right," he said softly. "I was selfish. I thought success meant standing alone at the top. But last night hearing her speak I realized success means nothing if the people you love aren't standing beside you." Emily reached across the table, placing her hand on Clara's. "Mom," she whispered, "maybe this is his way of trying to make it right." Clara's eyes filled, torn between hurt and hope. For 18 years, she had carried the burden alone. Could she dare to let him back in and out for her? But for Emily? Adrian cleared his throat. "I can't erase the past, but if you'll let me, I want to be there for the future. Not as a CEO, not as some man who thinks money can fix everything, just as a father, a broken bar, and as the man who should have stayed." The silence stretched. Then Clara exhaled, slowly, as if releasing years of bitterness. "You don't get forgiveness overnight, Adrian, but Emily deserves to know her father, and a broken bar. I deserve peace. So, let's start small. Show up, be present, prove with actions, not words." Adrian's eyes brimmed with tears. For a man who had built towers of glass and steel, this moment of fragile, trembling, imperfect felt like his greatest achievement. Over the next weeks, Adrian did what he had never done before. He showed up. He attended Emily's debate tournament, where she scanned the crowd and spotted him clapping like a proud father. He joined them at a community cleanup event, rolling up his sleeves despite stares from people who only knew him as the untouchable CEO. One evening, as the three of them walked through a park, Emily suddenly slipped her arm through his. He froze, then smiled as warmth spread through him. For the first time in his life, Adrian felt anchored and not weighed down, but grounded in love. And Clara, watching from a step behind, finally saw not the man who had left, but the man trying desperately to return. The journey wouldn't be easy. Forgiveness takes time. Trust takes rebuilding. But as the sun dipped low and Emily's laughter filled the air, Clara realized something she hadn't believed in years. Second chances are real. And sometimes, even the coldest heart learns that the true measure of success is not what you build in the world but what you rebuild at home.